Okay, so we're good to go. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to webinar number 2 of the webinar series, Drones, D for Drones. And what do I mean by D for drones? You remember the school days when we used to have A for apple, B for ball, and C for cow? We want to now make a very normal thing, which we would say D for drones. And by that, we mean that we really want to bring drones to schools so that it becomes a part of the mainstream education and curriculum. And children are able to do a lot more with drones than they currently do. So currently, we generally see drones as toys available for everyone. But we want to inspire students to see that drones are not just toys. It can begin with toys, of course. It all starts. The whole learning starts with playing and engaging students. But then, yes, there are some serious applications of drones in the world, and students can really inspire to have a career in drones. And that's what we had the talk yesterday in yesterday's webinar, the webinar number 1, where we had Sonia Beshert coming from Switzerland, and we had Marut Drone CEO Prem Viklavat talking to us about why this is so important to have drones in schools. And now today we will be talking to some more speakers who will be telling us not just the why of it, but also the how of it. And when I mean how, I mean that we need to create a mini ecosystem of drones in schools, and which means that today schools are still atypical, but many of them have migrated towards more project based learning and experiential learning. But we're talking about recreating the whole design, wherein applications like drones can be taught in a more kid friendly manner. And designing, even yesterday we spoke about human centered design. So, how do we design these ecosystems wherein the students can be absolutely comfortable dreaming about drones? And when I mean dreaming about drones, again, we go back to 1990s when we were kids and the computers were first introduced in schools. And we all started dreaming about computers, and that's how we all started our careers. And the people who really dreamt really well, who got into coding, they may have changed the face of the earth today, because almost everything that we touch today is inspired by computers. So what I see drones is a very advanced level of computing, wherein you have robotics, you have artificial intelligence, we have IoT, we have sensors, we have data, and we have the manufacturing itself, plus the aeronautics, all clubbed together in that one tiny piece that we call a drone. So today we are going to talk about that, and today we have an amazing lineup of panelists. But the first one is Captain Regis Job. Captain Regis Job is the, what do you say? He's the grandfather of drones education in India, because if we learn about drones, he trains our teachers. He's the teacher of the teachers in drones, and he has really brought amazing applications in the country in terms of training, and more about that he will tell you yourself. So we will start with Captain Regis Job. Captain, Captain Job, could you please unmute yourself? You're on mute, Captain. Captain, you're on mute.
Very good evening to you, Dr. Ruchi. Thank you so much for that introduction. And thank you for making me much older than I am. I am by no means a grandfather, neither am I any specialist in drones. I'm just here as one of the teachers, like you all, and those of you all who are interested in this program, and you all too will probably be taking the next level of what the future holds when it comes to drones. I'm definitely sure that all of y'all over here are enthused, and that's the reason why y'all are all here. So I've just got a slight presentation, it's 15 minutes. Do bear with me, and feel free to interject if I am deviating from the topic. Now, drones. The moment you think of them, you start thinking about the Predator drones, or the military drones, or even start thinking about Star Wars. But there are drones that people have in their homes. Little kids, today it's a Christmas wish list. I want a drone. This is the same thing that happened way back in the early 80s, in the introduction of computers in India. It was a new thing. It was the next big thing. and it was a promise of a better future. And believe me, the face of India changed from the 80s because of computers. And I tell you this with confidence that drones are what the computers did to the industry in the early 80s. In India, we are a little late. Other countries surrounding, yes, we have a lot to catch up. There's certain other countries that have realized the potential and not only taken it forward, but have understood that the knowledge and the next innovations come from people who are still in school. Today, if you look, the big names, including Google founder Sundar Pichai, where was he in the 80s, passing out of school? So those people who are going to be the next big names in the future are the ones that you all will probably be teaching, and probably even among you all, people who are going to make history. With that, I'll just start my presentation. It's a short presentation. Hope you enjoy it. Does everybody have the presentation on the screen? Can somebody tell me?
No, I cannot see your presentation.
Second. Now is it visible?
Not yet.
Not yet, sir.
Let's see what's happening. And now?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So you can see the full screen, right?
No, we can see your presenter view. Yes.
Excellent. Okay. Practical education for the next generation. That's what drones are. We are playing with the technology of the future. And we're lucky to do so, because whatever we teach is going to be what creates history in the future. And who said learning cannot be fun? Of course, you've got your chemistry experiments, you've got your physics experiments, you've got your biology experiments, and I'm sure that all of you all out there were quite excited when it came to practical laboratory work. I am definitely sure that most of y'all, in fact, I'd say 90% of y'all, were a lot more happy going across onto the playing fields and also going to the laboratories rather than sitting in class and learning from textbooks. Today, of course, technology is advanced where instead of textbooks, we're using projectors, but still, touch, feel, and the other senses result in more retention when it comes to teaching. And believe me, whatever we teach, as I keep saying, the rising tide raises all ships. There is plenty of knowledge to share. And believe me, the drone industry is in its nascent stages. Even though we think that it's a mature stage, it's the same thing that they thought about computers in the 90s. And look where it is today. Nobody ever has envisaged that somebody be taking a small little thing that is as the size of a slate or the size of a book, pressing a button, ordering your food, and telling the food to be delivered to your house, using that small little unit that you call a mobile phone, informing how.
Can you please pause? Mr. Arya, you need to stop presenting while somebody else is presenting. You can present when your turn comes.
Could I go on?
You need to present again. You need to press the present button again and take over presentation from Vicky Arya. I'm so sorry.
Not a problem. Can you see the screen?
Yes. F5. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
So we were here, empowering the youth of today and tomorrow. And as I mentioned to you, we are going to be forming the future. We are going to be developing the future and not just stopping out there. We are going to be encouraging the younger generation to create the future. Most popularity of the unmanned aerial vehicles, okay, as a fun and inexpensive way to fly, is mostly captured by the toy market. You can order them on Amazon. You could go to a toy shop and buy them. They're relatively inexpensive. They vary in price from 800 rupees right up to 1,000 Indian rupees. But understand this, these toy drones serve a great entry point when it comes to education in what we call STEM: science, technology, engineering, and maths. Some of the main subjects where students find difficulty. The reason why is it's not that the kids of today are dumb. The kids of today need more interaction. They need more input. They need more sensory perception. Yes, we got away in days of yore where we draw on a chalkboard, understand what is written on the chalkboard, and move forward. It's just that the children of today are smarter. They've understood by observing. We're going to learn about that also. But just by observing, the retentiveness is not as great as feeling and experiencing. And believe me, what the computers did in the 80s is what drones are going to be doing today. I still remember, I wasn't too great at maths, yes, and computers helped us inculcate that enjoyment of maths. I'm sure if I tell you today a Venn diagram or a matrix, most of y'all would throw up your hands in horror. But in those days, early coding, when we used to use Basica and languages like that, you needed to know where to put data, you needed to understand flowcharts, you needed to understand what each mathematical function was and how it worked. Believe me, today, if I am where I am, I'd like to say thanks not just to my parents who gave me the opportunity, but to those computers that gave us that touchy feeling interaction, which got us to enjoy education. Leveraging the popularity of these categories of commercially off-the-shelf toys, as I call them, the development of the above-mentioned STEM initiative will inspire learners to use drones as a platform to collect and analyze data using the sensors on board. What we mean is it's not just a teacher's tool. There are a number of display items that people have which are teacher's tools, whereas a drone is an interactive tool. It's something that can be given into the hands of the students, allow them to experience it, allow them to understand what you, as a teacher, will be teaching them to do. And they, in turn, will probably pass it on. The activities could encompass skills to measure drone payload, flight height, and velocity. You've got another panelist, Mr. Karthikeyan, who will be explaining certain things with the tools that he's got. But these are things that can be done. How many of y'all would like to talk about weight and balance? What's the difference between mass and what's the difference between weight? I'm sure that all of y'all are ready to switch off your cameras the moment I said that, or rather switch off your devices. The reason why is it was a boring subject. What is weight? What is mass? Now imagine yourself with a drone out there in class, and you got a small little pan into which you keep continually putting in little bits of either lead or some other thing until the drone finally cannot carry anything more. That is what you classify as the payload of the drone. That's the max. Now you can also say that the weight of that object is say 10 grams. Will the drone be able to carry 10 grams of sponge or 11 grams of sponge? Heck, sponge is a lot more lighter than lead, right? What I'm trying to tell you is these are the things that you can teach people. You can teach them about velocity, you can teach them about acceleration, you teach them about aeronautics, aerodynamics, you're teaching them about chemistry, batteries, you're teaching them about biology, how wings work. Aside from that, drones help because they are exciting. They capture images, they capture data that can be analyzed by the whole class. And this is something when it's a coexisted activity where everyone participates, that things start to get exciting. For many students, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics are subjectively considered to be the most challenging. Yet, these are the backbones of innovation. I do not say arts or any of the other subjects are lower, but in innovation, it's people who understand. I'm not saying the people who parrot, who just learn the subject and throw it out on paper. It's people who understand the concepts that take innovation to the next level. And because of their research, new ideas and new innovation happens and new things come to light. Hence, economic and social development is intrinsically linked with the quality of STEM education. And here's something that developing countries can experience using the humble, simple drone of today. As I mentioned to you earlier, the easiest way to dull learning is by bogging it down with boring, excessive, lengthy curriculum. I'm sure most of y'all, it's an evening. You'll have just had your lunch or your tea. It's pretty warm. You're sitting at home. You feel like sleeping. But then again, think about it. Think about drones. It's a hands-on, immersive experience. As I mentioned to you earlier, that you get to see, get to touch, get to experience, get to fly. This is something that stays in your mind. It's something that people remember, people can adapt and build upon without spending hours inside textbooks with worth 1,000 words. As they say, a picture is worth 1,000 words. Experiencing something hands-on is worth 100,000 times that. And hence, drones can actually define the way that education goes. To spark a student's interest in STEM and to help them increase the enrollment rate, drones introduced can remove traditional barriers erected by students who face this. By using drones and their applications, students see technology not as an indecipherable challenge. I could use a TV or teach somebody how to open up a television set, open up an amplifier. It's just too complex. Whereas a drone, it's there in your hands to feel, to touch, to understand what happens when you change something. And this is an enjoyable, innovative method of teaching people. They force you to question concepts, complex concepts like aerodynamics, robotics, electricity, chemistry, and biology. And once they experience it and see for themselves why drones fly or how they fly and what keeps them airborne, it cements these key concepts. A subject that was of particular interest to the student
Is Captain Job audible?
No, I think we lost him.
Okay. Captain Job, I think we lost you. Yes, Captain. Yes, Captain. Yeah. No, I mean we can see you, but you're not there online. Turn back. Yeah, sure. Captain Job has gone offline. We would just wait for half a minute for him to come back.
Sure.
We are waiting for Captain Job to come back. He's gone offline, and he just gave me a call that okay, he'll be joining. So meanwhile, I would give a small welcome to Mr. VK Arya, who is one of the master trainers associated with Electronics Sector Skills Council of India, and he would also be making a presentation today. So if Captain Job doesn't join us within a minute, we would switch to the next presentation. I think let's begin with the next presentation by Mr. VK Arya. Mr. VK Arya, we would love to hear about you, about your journey in training, and about what do you think about the drone education in India and how we can create a mini ecosystem for drones in schools so that the students can learn more, could dream more about drones, and become more ambitious about drones. Mr. VK Arya, could you please unmute yourself?
Okay, I'm able to. Are people able to hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, sir.
All?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, good afternoon, all the participants, Dr. Ruchi, and particularly Mr. Bhatia from ESSI for giving me the opportunity to be a panelist and to be a speaker here. Uh, Let me introduce for a moment before I start my topic. I personally feel if the school curriculum, which is already existing in the schools, is taught properly, our children can become scientists, Nobel laureates, and great technocrats and researchers and inventors. This is my feeling. I have a small lab at my home for the students after retiring from Department of Telecom as an Indian Telecom Service Officer for 40 years. I was an international trainer from London in telecom technologies, soft skills, and other topics. I realized that all these things could be taught by many other people. Should we do something for our school students? So I started a small lab at my home. and started teaching to school children, college children. And I realized that the Chinese proverb, which you all remember, I hear, I forget. I see, I remember. I do, I learn. This was applicable thousands of years back and even applicable today. Teaching science, my experience of teaching science, along with my job, I was teaching to students free of cost for schools, college, universities, science and maths. I realized that people can learn, students can learn if they get a proper environment of learning. And that is the job of the teacher. Let me start briefly from what topic has been given to me so that quickly we can two topics have been given to me. Is how can schools build a mini ecosystem in schools to allow students to do more and dream more with drones. And second is how can educators be engaged in bringing drones to their classrooms. The first topic comes from the second topic, basically. If the teachers can engage students through drones, then there is a need for mini ecosystems in schools. If the educator cannot bring students to drones, or that matter, drones is just nothing but a technology. We are already using many other technologies for years and decades together, but everyone feels there is still a lot of shortcomings in our education system. I being in the science and technology, I could not understand many topics in my schools, my college, my university days. But when I started doing practical at my home, I started learning the things. That experience is my experience that school children, particularly in the area of science up to 10th class, if they are taught science, the way it should be taught, why, if I can learn at this age of 65 or 67, why young children cannot learn actually? This diagram I'm showing you is diagram of a drone. I think many of the people will see it but may forget.
We cannot see your presentation. Can you start your presentation, please?
I've started. It's not shareable. Oh.
Okay. Just click on the present now and then click your window.
Wait. Let me see. Okay. Are you able to see now?
Not here.
It's not being shared.
Yeah. Just click on present now. Select the window.
Okay.
Yes.
Now you're able to hear?
Yes. Now you can just put it on the slideshow mode. You can put it on the slideshow mode.
Okay. So let me quickly repeat what the topic is there. People can see how can schools build a mini ecosystem to do more and dream more with drones, and how educators be engaged in bringing drones to their classrooms. I told first point topic comes from second point. If there is no interest, there is no use of creating any mini ecosystems in schools. So educators who are there to teach, train to the students, their young minds, unless they are involved themselves in any topic, any technology, so that whatever they want to teach to the students should not only learn, they should be able to apply, design, and do research in that area. The levels may be different. Say, for example, the drone topic is going on. I will take the points later on, but still, I feel I must show you the drone, which is with me right now. This figure, are you able to see my figure?
Yes, sir.
So this diagram, which I have taken from the net, I have copied it, and some parts are being shown actually. But what people will learn, if there is a complete drone is shown to them, that will be more useful to them, actually, is it not? So this, I'll just try to show. Are you able to see my screen now? Are you able to see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Are you able to screen something in my hand?
Yes, sir.
So these are basic infrastructure of that drone. These are the framework. These are this is a motor, this is another motor, this is another motor. These are some electronic controller of the motors. If I show these things to you, this is the transmitter, and this is the receiver. This is the battery. This is the receiver. So this is a little better than showing figures only. So there are three things. If I speak only, there's one part, you will go from here, blah, blah, something was spoken. But if I show you the diagrams, you will remember or something. But if I show you these practical things, it will be a little more remembering things and learning things. But if you do things with your own hands, perhaps that is where the role of the teachers comes. And they have to think differently. They have to design differently. So what is that? What I wanted to convey is, if you want to use any technology, you have to think about how it could be introduced so that students take. Are you able to see my screen again?
Yes, sir. Yes, but we
Are
can
you able
see our browser. You need to select the presentation.
Is there?
Yes. You can put it in the
So,
slideshow.
okay, this. So what is the purpose? The first topic was the mini ecosystem. What is the ecosystem basically? Is a complete system. There are things which are related to that system in developing and growing. That is basically ecosystems. In a drone, is a complete drone. There are various applications, but basic principles of operations of drones is same. It is a unmanned aerial vehicle like aircraft without pilot. So how this one single thing can create a mini ecosystem is, or what other things could be created in schools. Now, for example, I have shown on the screen, a left-hand side, there is a motor. And below that, there is a power supply plate is there. On the right side of that plate is a power supply. And on the other side is there is electronic speed controller. So this drone, once developed for any use, either you buy it or you produce it. For producing it, what I used to discuss with the SSC and others, if China can produce these things in bulk and in everything, why India cannot do it? The reason I understand is we have not given importance to the ecosystem and the basic components which are needed. For example, a complete drone we purchase from outside and assemble it and use it. This is the application which everyone is doing. But what about the components? What about the how to make in India? So for making in India, this is what I wanted to communicate is this ecosystem, unless you make this ecosystem or the other subsystem, your body of the drone is mechanical, your battery is there, your motor is there, and some electrical parts are there. So electrical, so you have to create a lab or something which helps in understanding how a motor works, how to do the winding of the motors, how the speed is there, with what windings, the speeds could be what is the torque, and like that, how much battery should be given, what is the change of the direction, how the direction is changing, what are the laws which are controlling this. So this lab, electrical lab, could be created along with your drone systems. So this is subsystem or one part of the ecosystem. So mechanical could be there, people can design, machinery could be put, and 3D is another beautiful thing which could be used along with the drones. So you can make a complete drone except the electrical part using the 3D technologies. Now electronics, coming to the electronics, is very, very important in the area of drones. All your circuits are your controllers, your things are there which are made up of electronics. Your speed controller is electronics. So there could be another lab which could be electronics. This electronics lab. Now there are various levels. I personally feel the students from 4th and 5th class should be started with the subsystem labs, so that while leaving the school, they will be in a position to design these things. This is my experiments which has been done. School students which come, they are able to design things in 1 or 2 years time. So third thing is the use of sensors. One is the mechanical eco subsystem, then electrical, electronics, then use of sensors. Now drones have got a lot of sensors actually. Sensor is nothing but it interacts with the physical things and then convert it into electrical voltage or currents. So these are the without that these sensors, it is very difficult. The drones cannot work. So then we have the various type of sensors are used in the drones. Then there is avionics or aerodynamical lab could be there, which will teach the principles of aeronautics and flights and all these things. And other very, very important component of the drone is the wireless communication system, perhaps not being realized in detail. That is, all your remote control is done with the help of a wireless transmitter. And we receive signal from the transmitter, and that is with the help of the receiver. And the received signal is then given to the control system, which controls the motor and then speed and then landing and all like that. So wireless communication system these days, we are using this. So what in wireless communication, we need frequencies. What frequencies? How the wireless system or wireless system could be made. Actually, this particularly drone system use digital wireless communication system. I will be showing. I've got a digital wireless communication radio system is with me. 2 days back I've connected with all the hams of the world. I will show you the live how the wireless system. So this is another very big subsystem which could be created wireless. How to make the transmitters, how to make the receivers. They are very, very interesting. Among all these things, this particularly wireless communication systems and transmitters and receivers, it is given in the school's curriculum by the 11th, 12th class particularly. But we don't find anyone who is doing practical things. Learning from the school level, 7th class particularly, in between I'll take you to some another topic, the name ham radio, which is a hobby of wireless communication, which is controlled by International Telecom Union, starting from the age of 7th for school children, college children, where you are allowed to make a wireless transmitter and receiver after getting a license from Government of India. You are given free spectrum, while otherwise people are getting 10,000 rupees per year for one VHF set. You can establish a wireless communication labs in your schools, involve people starting from class 7th, basic from resistors, components, electrical components, resistor, capacitor, inductors, motors, transformers, how these works, how these are designed, and how the modulation is done, how the preamplifier is done, how the modulation is done, how the demodulation is done. Up to 11th or 12th class, our students will be pioneers in designing. At present, not even a single wireless communication set is being made in India for hams. All are being imported, and the cost rupees 10,000. While we discussed here, if any Indian make, it will be costing not more than 2,500 or maximum 3,000 rupees for the same set. And the bigger set, HF communication wireless set, will cost here more than 70,000 rupees. If we design in India, it will cost not more than 10,000 rupees. The saving technology. So if these labs are established in schools, it will not only help in drones, but other wireless technologies also, like Wi-Fi. This, by the way, this drone system uses a Wi-Fi frequency of 2.4 gigahertz. So you will learn in the process the Wi-Fi. So the teachers needs to be aware of these things, that how an ecosystem can be established. Unless they know the subcomponents, they will not be able to understand the importance of this. So assemble the drones, study each part in detail, and find out what I have written some of the points. Mechanical is one, electrical, electronics, use of sensors. Then details you have to go for electrical motor designing itself a job. Electronics is a complete technology. Use of sensors. We always think the students up to 12th class may not be able to do. I differ here. Students of 5th, 6th, 7th class can do wonders. They can learn better than elder students. Actually, once they go to college, their mind is diverted, and they take more pride in enjoying things, other things than studies. Exceptions are always there in India. So wireless communication, wireless transmitter and receiver is used in this. Without this, there is no drone. Then there is another important thing is the antenna. Many of the people may not be knowing about the antenna, but there is antenna which is used here, and you have to learn how to design antenna. That is a very simple. If you involve, you will learn it. See, in HF communication and VHF communication, there is a simple formula of calculating antennas. Once you involve, you will learn how the length of the antenna could be used, what type of antennas are there. Okay, so these things are there. These labs could be established. Now coming to the very another important point, that software programming lab, which is a bone of this is the backbone of this drone. So people will specifically learn software, keeping in view the application of their work in the language of Python, C, C++, or some other language which could be used. So nowadays we do programming without any purpose in mind to get marks. So if this drone is used in schools by the teachers and tell them that this programming is done and is able to guide somebody like Dr. Ruchi Saxena, who is the expert in the area of drone, if they could guide the teachers first, they will be in a position to guide the students in a better way so that their software programs should start having the applications when they leave their schools. Because in schools nowadays, Python is already there. Now then, apart from this, once you design anything or in the assemble even the drones, you may be needing a barometer for height measurement, then multimeter, then if you use some components, then you will be using signals. You can see oscilloscope, signal generators, and try it. That these instrumentation and measurements also is a part of this subsystem, which is very essential. In India, we are lacking very much in the instrumentation and measurements because we feel अरे यार काम चल जाएगा ठीक है ना अंदाजे से काम हो गया ना. It's like that attitude is there. Even if the instruments are there, people are hesitant to use it, because I have seen in my schools and colleges, teachers and instructors were always making afraid us, don't use much, it will be spoiled. So instrumentation and measurement the instruments are very cheap these days. Even every student can buy it and learn it. If you want to study science and technology without instrumentation and measurements, it is of no use. You cannot do designing, you cannot improve, you cannot repair things. Then comes another important subsystem or the mini ecosystem. In the mini ecosystem, the power electronics. The drone uses batteries actually. Batteries and cells. So power electronics, in particularly once you open a mini lab, you need to, most of the devices we use is the gadgets we use is basically DC power supply. And when we use in our labs, we have AC power supply, and DC cells are very costly. So we need a method of converting AC into DC. So this lab will help understanding the people how the cells work, how the batteries work, how the charger can be designed, how the AC to DC conversion can be done for the equipment if it is used in the labs. It is not only why it will be used for drones. Once you make a lab, it should be utilized fully for many purposes to justify the investment made and the time spent by the students. So somebody before me was telling about PCB design. Yes, we use PCB for everything, including drones, and it comes under more on, instead of electronics, it comes under basically the chemical engineering, because we use a lot of chemicals in designing the PCBs. And then I told about 3D printing. Most of the schools are now trying to buy 3D printers. It is encouraged by the government also in Atal Tinkering Lab. So these many, I'll just quickly revise this. The many subsystems are in the part of the ecosystem, which could be mechanical, electrical, electronics, use of sensors, avionics, wireless communication, transmitters, receivers, antenna, software programming, instrumentation and measurements, power electronics, PCB designs, 3D printing, and many more things which could be thought of. This is basically for science and technology work. Similarly, we can think of establishing maths lab also. Now it's a question of what is the maths lab. So that is a different topic, of course. But while studying, while the drones are being introduced, in some way or the other, you need the ecosystem. And how this now, coming to the second point, we already do a lot of use lot of methods in teaching that includes your teaching, training, simple teaching on the board, whiteboard, blackboard, giving demos, then using simulators, storytelling, then videos, visit to on-sites, lectures by experts. But the purpose of all this educational method is to ensure that students gets the intended knowledge. They should be in a position to apply knowledge, to be skillful for getting training, after getting training in that area. But are we satisfied ourselves that our students are that much skillful? Theoretically, they may be outstanding, ratifying the things, producing things, but while designing, I think they are big zeros in while designing, because they have not done practicals. So these methods are already there. They have not produced very good results. Those who have gone abroad, people are saying, I got a video today that most of the people have studied after high school or after college. They have gone abroad, studied in details there, and then there they were selected because of their theoretical knowledge. So while remaining in India, for helping the people of India in solving their own problem, we have to work from the grassroots basic level in developing an attitude of doing things by hands. And drone can help in that one thing only, to create interest among the students. If they assemble drones, they will love to fly drones, control drones. This is the teacher can control. And while teaching this, okay, sorry, I just. Just a second, please. No, I was telling that the majority of the teaching of science in schools is still done on white and blackboards, showing the smart these components, equipments are using the simulators. But what about the doing practicals? Because I interact with teachers, I was giving training to some school teachers of science in Delhi. I asked them how you are teaching the motor. They say we only use simulators. I said, have you seen the motors? They've said, I have seen, but we don't know what is inside. The motor costs rupees 20, 30 or 40 rupees. Break the motor, show each and every part, assemble it, and see. Each student can spend 40, 50 rupees or so for learning these things. While doing these things, a thing will come in mind with these windings. In the process, they will learn what is the principle of operation of the motor. If we change the number of windings, what will happen? Will the speed increase or decrease? Can we do something better than this? So the drone should act in that way only. Once you make a drone, there are various subsystems. You can form the groups where each group should develop one particular thing, and they should be asked to how these drones could be used for the betterment of the society, and for the what applications could be done for improving the conditions of our farmers, and in case of disaster, what could be done. So while all these things is said and done, theoretically it is very good, but practically implementing it is very difficult. It's a very slow process. So more and more such seminars needs to be organized. Teachers need to be trained in a way that their attitude should be modified to think in the line that the basic purpose of our education should be that our students should not only learn theory, they should understand the theory. Once they understand, they can think of designing and modifying things. Unless we teach in such a way, they will not be in a position to design things practically. So these things could be done by showing practically. I'll show you the drones, part of drone which I brought with me. Are you able to hear all to me?
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
I'm stopping this sharing and showing the drone components. Huh? You
Yes.
okay?
You need to stop the presentation. Yes.
Okay, I'm stopping and showing the components now.
We can see you.
Now, are you able to see the screen?
We are able
No,
to
like,
see your face. Yes.
are you able to see something in my hand?
Yes, sir.
The participants.
Yes, sir.
So I was telling this is nothing but a frame of these four sides of the quadcopter. This is having four sides, and these four sides are nothing but mechanical parts. Actually. So various sizes of mechanical parts lab could be open to think on these lines. And this is on the one side I've shown this motor is there. Actually. This is a motor which could be a part of the electrical labs. And what type of motor it is there? It is either brushless or with brushes. What is the number of windings? What are the size of the copper cable which is being used? How much rotations it will produce with what voltage, or how this voltage supply will be given here. And this is another thing. If now in the motor, if you give a supply, it continues it rotates continuously, but there needs a electronic device known as a electronic speed controller. This is the electronic speed controller. If you connect it, then you can manipulate the speed of the motor, and with that speed of the controller, we can stop or turn, rotate, or hover this copter. So that one part, mechanical part. I've shown you this electrical part, this motors. Third is your electronics part, and there is a power supply here. Where is the power supply? Yeah. So this is the power supply here. There's a battery. This could be charged. So we need to establish a lab where this battery could be charged. We just need to design a charger. Now this is your a transmitter where these are the for controlling the sides, the direction and heights and other things. And this has got a small antenna here. This is the small antenna, because the size of the antenna depends upon the frequency. Higher the frequency, the lower is the size. This uses 2.4 gigahertz of frequency. So the formula is lambda is equal to c by f. C is the velocity of light. You can show the students practically by designing antennas. If we want to use antenna for 2.4 gigahertz, what will be the length of the antenna? Bring a wire and use it for that action. So this is the antenna, and this is the receiver for the antenna, small. I'll show. This is an electronic device. This is nothing but a wireless receiver, and this is a wireless receiver. When the signal from the transmitter comes from the this drone, it receives the signals, give it to the controller, which gives to the electronic speed controller through the motor for controlling the speed. So along with this, I don't have the camera now, so we can use the cameras. We got the GPS system inbuilt here. You have to use the computer for programming. If these demos are arranged by the teachers, for the teachers first, but there is a problem. We used to discuss these things with Mr. Varun Bhatia. Why, in spite of so many years, we are not able to do much? Unless the stakeholders, which is a management in the schools and parents at home for the students, they also need to be trained for these things. So in the stakeholder, it is not the teacher alone which can do everything. It is not the student. Even if they are willing, they needs to be encouraged by the parents and schools in your homes. And management should encourage the teachers for doing all these things practical. Some money is always needed and some will be lost also. So we should not worry. As a scientist, as an engineer, we have to spend money, whatever money. You know the story of Edison. He used to spend whatever he used to, and he used to spend for purchasing second-hand things and in bulk. And he used to go to the market, Kawadi Bazaar, brings everything and then churn it and doing the things. So spending money will be needed. In science and technology, if we only worry about the money spent, our scientists cannot work much. I worked as a research fellow in government at a very high post. Government gives money and then asks the explanation or the reports every month or so. The scientists will work or they will prepare the report. So there some system needs to be developed and to be told to the government that. So there are the stakeholders are government, then your parents at home, management in schools. We the teacher and the students, they are very obedient at times. They will do whatever the management says or government says or that parents say. Our job is, teacher's job is to create interest. The interest could be done with the help of, and this is nothing but an attitude. So our attitude for science and technology, where from the attitude comes it is by helping the people. That brings you, that is empathy brings you the. Now I'm going to show you something. Now the drone part is, the basic purpose of saying in the drones is that this is a newer technique. This could be used for explaining the topics, if it could be, but it definitely creates interest among the students when they see something new like drone, flying of drone. Then you can tell them, if you want to make drones, you have to learn these things. I'm teaching some young students of 4th, 5th class. I found them, they're very keen in doing things. When I say something, if you do this thing, we'll be doing that. So now, are you able to see something in my hand now? Are you able to see?
Yes, sir.
So this is a digital. This is a digital transmitter. And are you able to hear something? Something from inside?
Yes, sir.
So this is a call from Australia. I'm listening this person from Australia at my home inside. With the help of a small device with me, I'll change the direction of my computer because. Are you able to see this? Are you able to?
No, sir.
Are you able to see?
No.
Okay, wait. Are you able to see this?
No, sir.
Now.
You need to bend your laptop screen maybe, or maybe lift it up.
No.
Yes, a bit. Can you bend it a bit more, or can you raise it? Can you raise it to the camera? Yes.
Now these two things are there. With the help of this and internet, I'm connecting all over the world through the digital technology. I put the system in order 2 days back after working 5 days, 10 hours per day. I and my team of my friends with the hams in all over India, we have put through the system of digital communication across the globe. So he's calling from America. This person is calling from America actually. So when we teach our students with this hands-on designing, they take a lot of interest. So what I wanted in the drone also, while organizing seminars, that's what you're saying. So while teaching any subject, every teacher has got a method of doing things. I was in February, I was in IIT Jammu for conducting 2 days workshop on this ham radio. They requested me that apart from analog, you teach us digital. So we have spent almost 30,000 rupees for these two things only. The money is, of course, required, but the thrill of connecting to the word itself is a great thing, you know. So drones I have shown you. I got the email yesterday night. It was in spam. I was delivering to Mr. Bhatia that I have not got the email. So from yesterday night till today, me and my wife have done this assembling. I had some material. So it is not completed. So my wife told she's simply 61 years, BA history, and she has assembled. I have not even told anything to her. Because of the curiosity, what is this drone actually? Can I do something? So this is a live example of if you create interest among the students and teachers, somebody has to take lead. I personally feel this. I'm closing my topic. I'm thankful to Dr. Ruchi for inviting me and Mr. Varun Bhatia for inviting me in this talk. And I wanted to share my experience. Doing is learning, actually. This is the one-liner which I wanted to communicate. And the attitude of the teacher, one should not be a teacher if he cannot love their students and ensure that they learn more than what he knows. So with this, I close. Any question from any side, I'm there. Okay.
Thank you so much, sir, for so generously sharing with us your insights. You've really taken me in back in my childhood, and I really hope that I would have had a teacher like you in my schools that I could have understood the batteries better by just breaking them or done some more hands-on, not just on the blackboard and books. Thank you so much for sharing such an insightful
Thank you.
thought with
Thank you so
us.
much. So any question?
Sure, let me just check if there are questions coming in from the live audience right now. Not yet, but just a comment from somebody that yes, sir, China and Japan are in power because of science and technology. And the way you spoke about the self-resilience and the self-empowerment which our Prime Minister talks about. Yes, definitely. Drones, if we have to become self-reliant in drones, then we need to start talking about making them in India, and it should start from the school. Definitely. Thank you so much, sir.
I want to share something here.
Yes, sir.
This Japan, the major in after 1945 when it was bombed in Hiroshima and Nagasaki, their products were not taken by anybody. One of the young students was studying in USA, and then they were hating these Japanese. He said, "Oh, from a country where things are not good at all." And that young boy, I forgot his name, he took this thing on his heart and mind. He came back to Japan, and then they started the concept of zero defect concept. And this is one part. And second, the major reason of the progress of electronics of Japan is the ham radio, which you may be shocked to hear from me. In 1972, I was in Delhi University. I was printing a paper, and I got a book that it was written there that the major reason of science and technology is the ham radio. Ham radio is a hobby of electronics. In Japan, in those in 71, there are 50,000 people in Tokyo alone. In 1971, in Japan, in Tokyo alone, there were 50,000 hobbyist electronics. And in India, in those days, were 2,000 only on paper, and only might be 50, 40 people were operating. And today also in Japan and America and even China has not allowed ham radio because of wireless spying and all these things. But 20 years back, they realized the potential of this ham radio. They opened the concept of ham radio uses. And today, the major supplier of wireless ham radio equipment is China, Japan, and America. There are 15 lakhs of students and people in Japan and in America. They do a lot of experiments from schools up to this. Is one single hobby controlled by UNO. At same age, same syllabus, same technology. So this is one hobby which I feel if we are able to, we are meeting the ministers and asking them to be the Rajiv Gandhi was the ham, and now Madam Sonia is there, and Amitabh Bachchan is there. You must have heard about the ham radio in the film came recently. So these hobbies, if we make the study as a hobby, then you see there will be no pressure on teachers, no schools, nothing. People will themselves. So one single more thing is create interest among the students, make it a hobby. And if a teacher can make it a hobby, students will make it as a hobby.
Definitely.
Okay.
Thank you so much, sir. So you would
Welcome.
also be very happy to know that Captain Job, who was with us just before you joined, is also a very passionate ham operator, and
Oh,
we
great.
would thank you very much, sir, once again. And I would request Captain Job to please come back online and complete your talk. We are just eagerly waiting to hear you more. Thank you so
Yes.
much.
Welcome. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, Arya, thank you so much. That was a very inspiring talk, I must say. Hats off to you.
Thank you,
I
sir.
do apologize. I went offline because my internet line got cut. I am now on a different thing, so please do bear with me. I've just got 3 minutes and I will finish off with you all.
Okay, sir. Please continue.
So, as I mentioned, one of the main subjects of particular interest that students used to keep asking me was the job opportunities. Right from degrees, right down to school students had asked me. And I must say, it was with quite an amazement and wonder that I spoke to a little guy who said, like, but I can also earn. Trust me, and how would you earn with a drone? And he just blew my mind away. This is somebody whom I met during the drone Olympics that were conducted in Bangalore. And he is one of the youngest drone racers in the country. And what he displayed blew my mind. And believe me, he has sponsors. And why I bring this up is because long back we had started a go-kart track, way back. And these kids would come along to race. And I realized there were people in the sidelines, people from MRF, people from JK Tires, people from TVS Motors, and people from Maruti would come there. I thought they were interested in our vehicles. They were actually more interested in the students that were coming over there and to see who was the best of the best. And yes, we're talking about 10 standard people who actually excelled in what they were doing and were earning. Yes, they did get sponsorships for races. And yes, they were being paid, maybe a stipend, but to explain what they felt while they were being in that car. So the same thing is going to happen with drones. The same way as I saw a guy who was 12 years old do something that I could never ever do. Drone racing, and believe me, aside from that, now with the COVID situation on, we're talking about people who are coming out from the 12th standard and getting jobs where they're getting paid the minimum standard right now, 3,000 rupees per hour to fly drones, per day, to fly drones. So at the end of the thing, you see, within 20 days, they're earning up to 60,000 rupees, which is a salary that people probably aspire to once they finish college and specialized. I'm not saying drones are an easy exit. But what I'm telling you is the market is open and it's free for all. It's like the Wild West. Anybody who has the brains and the fire and the passion can make it in today's world. As Sir had mentioned to you, the Chinese proverb extends further to a topic called Bloom's taxonomy. People normally just remember what you say.
Captain, would you like to show your presentation? No.
I do apologize. I thought that it was being presented. Just a second.
Because I remember you have an amazing image there.
Sorry, yes, just a second. I'm back on this. I thought it was presenting. Oh, sorry, I hadn't shared.
Yes.
Okay, I shall come to that. And thank you, Doctor, for remembering that. And as Sir mentioned, the old Chinese proverb, I'm coming back again to it. It is something that we apply in education. It's called Bloom's taxonomy. When I talk to you or when I put something on the board, you remember it. It takes a decent teacher to help you to understand it. It takes a good teacher to help you to apply what you have just understood to a situation. It takes a great teacher to teach you how to apply what you have learned, analyze it, and evaluate it. And it takes you, when you unlock your ability, that you can create something new with the knowledge that you have. And drone technology today helps you achieve all of the above. As I mentioned to you, a young kid earning 60,000 rupees. And I can also tell you that there are people like us who are astounded by the technology and by the advancements and by the solutions that youngsters are providing. Educators can take advantage of this differentiated instructional model. Students can master these skills very quickly. As Sir had mentioned, electronics, it sounds like rocket science. But trust me, a 10-year-old can understand how to connect a circuit. And I have seen a 10-year-old come to me and say, I have made an electric kettle. First I said yes, but then I understood. This guy had the brains to take a normal resistor and connect it across and using the battery. The resistor was heating up and he was heating water with it. Believe me, electronics. Let them do what they want with the equipment and they will master skills. And believe me, these students will surprise you. It all depends on how you teach them, what you teach them, and your ability to inculcate this technology to them. To do this, what you need to do is make the sessions interesting. Give them assignments, check their progress, create teams, create competitions, and give them recognition for their accomplishments. We did this way back, as I mentioned to you, in the days when we had go-karting. The reason why it became a massive success was because of sponsorship from TVS and the tire companies. There was a TVS scooty, which was available for the ladies, and there was a TVS bike, which was the first prize to the guys. And the competition brought in colleges like droves. We, of course, were wondering whether the students are spending their money in the right way. But believe me, our patience was rewarded when a college principal called up to tell us that he was extremely grateful that he had given his college the opportunity to take part in this. The reason why is the engineering department had decided to make their own car because of the hype created because of the go-karting. It's the same thing with drones. Believe me, you all are the Michelangelos who will be shaping the future. Just picture this, racing through the skies, adrenaline boosting, making quick turns, surveying landscapes, capturing stunning photography. A supercharged education at its finest. It's interactive, it's exciting. It keeps the students' interest and interaction at an all-time high. Let the drone do its thing. Emerging technology deserves an innovative curriculum. As Sir mentioned to you, he's opened your eyes. It's the way that you'll need to take things forward. You need to make sure your teaching resources are every bit as engaging and effective as the drones themselves. What you hold in your hands is the power to empower the future. Thank you so much, everyone, for being over there, and thank you for your patience. I do apologize for the glitch where I went offline, but now it's your chance. Go be the change. Create the future. Thank you so much for having me, and stay safe during this COVID times. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Captain Joe. You're always such an inspiration to hear. And we really hope with your help and with help of teachers like Mr. Arya, we would be able to create a national-wide curriculum for drones for school students and for students after 10th. So, we're talking about the teenage right from age 10 to age 16, age 17, till they become legally what do you say, they become of the legal age for flying drones through the drone pilot license laws in India or elsewhere. But till then, we can really prepare them in a lot of other things using the educational drones itself. Thank you so much, Captain Job. Thank you so much again, once again, for generously sharing your insights with us and being such an amazing teacher. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thank you, Dr. Ruchi. Thank you, everyone. God bless. Stay safe.
Thank you for staying back for so long. And now, before we move on, we have with us somebody who has made this a passion of his life, which means how do you bring these circuits, these wires, these batteries, these motors, these avionics to the school level so that you can make science, technology, education, creativity fun for students. And it's his business, and the business is called Prabal. We have Kartikeyan and Deyapan from Prabal, who is going to talk to us about how exactly they work with teachers and with schools and how do they make it happen. So Kartikeyan, I welcome you to the webinar and I request you to unmute yourself and put on your video so we can see you.
Yeah. So can I just ask Captain Job to stop sharing the screen so that...
You can take over.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have any presentation. I'm just going to talk in the video.
Sure.
So I'll just carry on now. So, I mean, it was a great presentation by Captain Job and Dr. VK Arya. They covered most of the topics that I already wanted to talk. I want to talk about this Chinese proverb. They already had it. I want to talk about Bloom's taxonomy. They already had it. I want to talk about velocity and pressure. Captain Job already had it. So it makes my job very simple. I mean, I'll directly dive into the problem. The first thing is students can't fly drones till they're 18, right? In India, they'll have to be 18 years old before they start piloting the drones. So how do you keep the school students engaged till that age? I mean, so you can just go and show them a drone. Drones are all inspiring. They're like a magic, Sometimes they can be overwhelming. Like how many times will you just go on, keep on showing a drone and flying it yourself? After a certain point of time, it just becomes a regular thing for them or it just becomes boring for them. I mean, they'll see, okay, our drone is flying, it's all cool, fine, but how are they going to advance in it? You need to create that inspiration. You need to create creativity among them. How do you do it? You actually relate the technology that is involved in drone with them, with their real life applications. So if you actually break it down, drones is nothing but basic physics, basic maths, and basic electronics that you study from school. It's not complicated. It's just a basics. If your basics are thorough, you can really excel in the drone field. I mean, we actually look at drones and drones related software as a skill and not as much as a knowledge. We need to develop both skill and knowledge at the same time. When I say skill, I mean, if you can know how to pilot a drone, you get a good salary and all those things. If you know how to do a mapping software, again, you get a job, you get a good salary and all those things. But we don't think of it as a knowledge. And that's the main reason why we don't come up with the latest innovations. Most of the drones that we buy, we import them and we use them. Even the drones that we build over here, we already have we buy the body, we buy the template, and we just fix a motor in it and we just fly it. None of those motors, those propellers, none of them are manufactured over here. The main reason for that is we don't understand how they function. We don't understand the basic physics and maths behind them. And that's where we focus on. That's where I focus on. Whatever the concepts that are there in drones, we create them into small experiments and then we teach students. Yeah, I mean, as I was just saying, let's say drones, the concepts in drones can be related to everyday life. Let's say you're drinking coffee in the morning, right? If I tell you that is one of the concepts behind flying of a drone, will someone believe it? They won't believe it. It's very tough. When you actually plant water, I mean, when you use a tube and pipe and spray water to plants, that is one of the concepts involved in building a drones. People wouldn't believe it if I say that is one of the concepts involved in drones. There are many everyday concepts that you can link, you can make experiments with, and so that you can inspire children to learn about drones. I'm a firm believer of, as Sir said, this Chinese principle. If you just read something, if you just watch something, you won't be able to understand stuff. You have to do something. It should be all hands on. You should get your hands dirty. You should do those experiments, and then you should see for yourself how things work. I might watch a lot of videos. It is still up to me whether to believe what they show in the video or not. Until unless I can do it as an experiment and see, I cannot 100% believe, okay, what they're showing is correct or not. Even let us take softwares. There are a lot of simulation softwares. If I put an aerofoil design, I put it in an ANSYS and the results comes up. It may not be the ideal condition. Real world, it may not behave in a similar way that it does in a software. So I'll have to do it in person and then see it. For example, here, I'm not sure if you guys can see, I have an aerofoil over here. We have created an aerofoil and we also created our own motor. And it's simple plug-in motor. I'm just going to plug in, it rotates. You can see the aerofoil going up. Similarly, what we can do with students is we can ask them to create different aerofoils, give them as an experiment, and then ask them to see how this performs, how the other aerofoil performs, what is the best thing for your design. Even the propellers that we buy, simple things as propeller that we do, we buy it online, we buy it from shop. If at all we have to increase the efficiency of a drone or the performance of a drone, maybe you'll have to change the design of your propeller. But how do you know how to change? Would you know how to change the design of your propeller? Are the students really, do they have the skill and knowledge to do that? They might not. So what we do is we give simple toy propellers like this that you would have seen in your young age. We would have used it. This propeller doesn't have a twist and this propeller has a twist. What happens when you rotate this? Will this go up? It won't go up. But what happens if I rotate this? It's going to fly up. So why does it fly? Because it has an aerofoil shape. So I'm going to connect simple things about drones with real life toys and real life experiments. Both, I believe that's both skill and knowledge. They should go hand in hand. You cannot just have skill and not have knowledge. They should both go hand in hand. Yeah, so I'll just go to the next thing. I'll just have a few topics that we can actually teach using drones. You might think they're all very complicated, but they're very simple topics. Let's say, like I was talking about motor and the coil and the windings. So here we have a handheld DC motor. The amount of energy it produces, electricity it produces, varies depending upon the coil windings. So what we tell students is, wind it a little bit, wind it completely, wind it only till half, and see how much electricity can it produce. So even the simple motor windings, if you give them as an experiment, they'll be able to understand all these things easily. So some of the topics, I'll just go through it. Let's say trigonometry and algebra, they are very important while actually making drone. When you're making an UAV, you'll have to fix a wing at a particular angle. You just cannot go and fix it. There's something called as angle of attack. There's something called as dihedral angle. That all comes from basic trigonometry that you study in school. But trigonometry and algebra, it's one of the most boring subjects that I've studied in school. I've never used them in my life till I finished my college and I started exploring about all this stuff. So here I have my own handheld inclinometer. We call this inclinometer. With this, I can measure the height of anything using basic trigonometry. If I want to measure the height of the ceiling, I'll just hold it like this. I just have to look through it. The angle that is formed is shown over here. It forms a right angle triangle. With this, I can teach trigonometry. And with this trigonometry, I can relate this to the dihedral angle in an UAV or the angle of attack that we keep in a fixed wing plane. And here I have another experiment, which is a weight balance. All your drone, all your UAV, they should have a CG. They should be balanced. So here we have weight balance. So here what I can do is I can keep particular weight over here and I can keep a particular weight over here. I can ask students to balance it. This is not just a toy, but with this, what I'm going to teach them is I'm going to teach them algebra with this. How I'll do is, let's say I have weight over here, it's W1. It is placed at a particular distance at D1. And this side, I can have another weight called as W2, and it is placed at a particular distance called D2. So I'll teach them W1 into D1 equal to W2 into D2. And I can ask them to change the weights, see how it is getting balanced. And with this weight formula, everything is interrelated. With this balancing, I can directly connect it into moment experiment. Where are we going to use moment in UAVs, in control surfaces? How does the rudder work? How does the aileron work? How does the elevator work? It's all just based on moment. And how does that moment work? You can learn that moment from this weight balance experiment. And here I have a simple Bernoulli's experiment tool. Bernoulli's experiment is a simple thing that we have learned in school, 8th standard, 9th standard. Every student writes it in an exam. It's just a 1 mark answer. It just says pressure is inversely proportional to velocity. They write it, they get that 1 mark, they pass, and they go off. But they don't realize where it is really used, where is the real life application of it. This is a small thing. There's a wooden thing over here. I'm going to put it over here. The task is to take this out without tilting it or without tapping it or without giving any physical motion. All that I have to apply is velocity and pressure. Those students have learned that velocity is inversely proportional to pressure. And also during storms, if you actually watch all those news channels, you can see the roof ripping and going off. That is basic Bernoulli's principle. That is how a wing generates lift. That is how a drone generates lift, drone's propeller. That's how they generate lift. Though they see it every day, they don't know how to relate it because they don't understand the basic concepts. Like coming back to this is over here. All that I have to do is I just have to blow on top over here. So in blowing on top, what I'm doing is I'm increasing the velocity over here, so the pressure over here is reduced and it automatically comes off. Same thing happens during storm times. When there's heavy storm, when there's heavy wind, the wind blowing over the house roof is fast. Therefore, the pressure reduces over there. But the pressure inside the house is more. So automatically the roof blows away. Similar thing happens in an aircraft wing or in a drone propeller, a quadcopter propeller. The top layer produces low pressure and the bottom layer produces high pressure and automatically goes up. So these are small activities that if you can teach students, from 6th standard to 12th standard, it's not just you're just going to teach 10th standard students or 12th standard students. You can take this from 6th standard. Every year you should have a particular curriculum, what they have in the school, what are they learning in physics, what are they learning in maths. Can I take that and can I combine it with aerodynamics, aeronautics, and teach them drones? So we have created experiments from 6th standard to 12th standard, all relating to aeronautics, so that they can they can understand about aeronautics and drones through basic physics and maths that they study at school. Even this is a windmill, and we have a blade over here. Even this windmill blade is designed in an aerofoil shape. Most people wouldn't know that this is designed in an aerofoil shape, though they study about wind energy in the school. Even here, you can tell them how wind energy, how aerofoil plays an important role in wind energy. Then we have airspeed. While you're studying about UAVs and stuff, we should know about the airspeed. How do they calculate airspeed? Build a small anemometer. We have a cup anemometer over here. We can use basic max formula. We can calculate we can multiply the number of rotations into the circumference of the circle, and we can calculate the wind speed. But if you just do it as a formula, every student will write C into, number of rotations into 2 pi r equal to the speed meter per second. They'll write it. They'll get the answer. They'll pass the exam and they'll go. But how is it applied in real life? That's where I really want to focus on. How do you calculate wind speed in real life? That's what you can do with this. You rotate, you calculate the number of rotations, then you put it in the formula, you get the answer. Not only this, even electronics, even programming. When we come to programming, as Sar said, Python and all those stuff. Even there are other basic programming like microbit and all those things. Even those things can be converted into real life application and real life experiments. Like for example, simple if-else program. Any student who's going to do programming in drones, they should all know this basic programs, if-else, while, forever, and all this loop programs. Even those can be converted into simple experiential activities. For example, in drone, we have accelerometers. Where can we use accelerometers? How do you learn about accelerometers? Sensors. There's something called as microbit, which is based on scratch programming. With that microbit, you can connect this accelerometer. You could make a hand strip or something. You could just tie it in a hand. You could just walk. It will automatically start calculating how many steps did you take, how fast did you go, etc. And all this can be taught through simple programming languages. And not only that, as I said, center of gravity, lift, center of pressure, electronics, Newton's third law, control surfaces, trigonometry, Pythagoras theorem, weight balance, power distribution, battery, cells, simple circuits. Even we don't give much focus to electronics. We think children easily understand that. Even for electronics, when you go to school, students, you can make simple kits and teach them how electronics can be. How electronics can be further simplified for them. I guess I'll just leave at that. And if you guys have any doubts and any doubts about how to convert how to do experiments for different topics in drones, I'll be glad to help you all.
Thank you so much, Karthik.
Yeah,
Once again, you have really thrilled me with your presentation. And I remember when we did this in Nagaland and how amazing that entire session was, where
yeah.
we had
In Nagaland, all we had was just these two things,
these
and
two
now I have like,
things.
yeah,
Yes.
I only had a paper, and now I have close to 30 experiments in aeronautics to teach. Yeah, to teach to school students.
And there we had students who were disaster management professionals who were
Yes,
enjoying
yes,
flying planes. Now
yes,
we're
yes,
talking
yes,
about school students who really want to fly planes, paper planes in
yes.
the school and hit it at the teachers. Imagine the
Yeah,
kind of creative chaos we will be creating in the school.
exactly. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Karthik. And I think
Thank,
we would definitely need your help in creating the curriculum for the schools, for the colleges over the next
definitely.
few months that we will be implementing Project Wings. So,
Thanks.
just for information of everyone, Project Wings is something what we are doing is to bring drone technology to schools. And one important part of that is for drones for daughters. So as we have seen a lot that not a lot of girls are in the drone industry so far, but we really want to increase their participation. And when we make these things so interesting, now for example, just flying a drone, flying a paper plane, there is a fear attached to the paper plane. When we try to make planes in schools and we try to fly it, first is the fear of punishment. So one, what we are removing from here is the fear of punishment. Second, we are trying to remove is the fear of failure. And the third we're trying to remove is the fear of technology itself. So we're saying that it's okay to touch the technology, it's okay to crash it, it's okay to fail it. And this is what we will be discussing in the next few days as well. So for today, I would really like to thank Karthik for being here
Yeah.
and so generously sharing your insights with us. This will be extremely useful to us. Tomorrow, we will be having a session where we'll be talking about how do we make it safe to fail while tinkering with drones, and how to instill values of safe, responsible, and ethical drone flying early on. And to talk about that, we will be having Vignesh Santanam from World Economic Forum and Natalie from SheMax. So these two people will be talking about what we look at as a drone ecosystem, but a little more safe, responsible, and ethical drone flying and how it can be done. So for today, I would like to thank my panelists, Captain Regis Job, Karthikeyan, and Mr. VK Arya. Just hold on. I see the layout. And I would request Varun from Electronic Sector Skills Council of India to please give a concluding remark for today's webinar.
Yeah, hi
Varun,
Ruchi.
can we see your video,
Good evening,
please?
everyone.
Can we see your video, please?
Yeah, this is. Can you see it now?
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Ruchi. Thank you, everyone. And it was really, really a great, insightful, and special thanks to all the panelists and sharing their experience, sharing their, insight how we can go forward in this. And I really, really admire now because this is really a great topic. And I was not even expecting we could have so much of insight. But really thank to all the panelists, to all the members who are part of this project, and to Ruchi, a special thanks to you for organizing this. And I think every day now we're gonna add, the bar is increasing day by day, and we're really hopeful we will get a very good conclusion when we have the 7 days of the curriculum. And yes, Project Wings along with Robotics and ESCCI, this is to all the audience that we have in the panel today. So along with Kai Robotics, ESCCI has done this MOU, and we would like to take this project in Pan India, where both of our organization, would be having their each roles and responsibilities, and we would like to have this knowledge of drone technology, and by virtue of our experience that we have, we want to explore it, we want to give it to the society, and we want to make Indian students, like everyone says, like Indian students, they have a lot of potential. It's just we have to fine tune them, we have to give them a right direction, we have to mentor them. And through this project, we really hope, we really see we get a very good output. And I'm really happy, and we are very much optimistic and excited to launch this program as soon as we finishes this webinar. We would really happy to do a pilot in one of the schools. We already are getting a lot of requests and demand from various parts of India. But by time when we end this program, so both ESCCI and Kai Robotics would be launching it. And again, I would be needing your support, all of you, to help us, guide us, mentor us, and give us your valuable feedbacks and inputs so that we can be on right track every time. And we really look forward for your feedbacks and suggestions. Thank you, Ruchi, and thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us live wherever we
Ruchi,
are.
you're on mute. You're on mute.
Just a minute.
You're on mute, Ruchi.
Okay. So thank you very much, everybody, for joining us live on YouTube and from all the parts of the world as well. So Varun, you would know that a lot of our participants are from different parts of the world in this
Yeah,
webinar series.
correct.
And yes, we are focusing on India, but definitely a lot of us will be benefiting from what we are sharing in different countries as well. So, for example,
Yeah,
we are having a lot of participants from India, from Nepal, and you also know that we operate India Flying Labs. And just the way we operate
yes,
India Flying Labs, we have flying labs in 26 countries. A lot of our
yeah,
flying labs members are also a part of this webinar, and they will also be supporting us when we do the actual project throughout the country as well. And we can even have an exchange program wherein students from India can probably learn in Tanzania, and Tanzanian students can learn from us, or we can go to Fiji, or we can
definitely,
go to
definitely.
Chile, or we can go to Panama, wherever we have a flying lab. So we can even create those kind of connections for sure. So a lot of promising
Yeah,
times which are ahead for us. Thank you so much, Varun, for being so supportive. Thank you, Electronic Sector Skills Council of India, for coming up with this idea that let's
hmm,
make it a mainstream school curriculum. And
yeah,
today you saw from Mr. Arya's presentation what an important role electronics would play in drone
correct.
education. And so with
Yeah.
your help and with your support and with your guidance and with your mentorship, you would definitely be scaling up. Thank you so much, everybody, for
Hmm.
joining us. This is the end of the webinar today. We'll see you tomorrow at 4 p.m. in the same way that you connected today. Thank you so much again.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining. Thanks, Ruchi.
Thanks. Thank you.
Bye.